Good morning, citizens. Today we're going to go over basic controls because there's a Fleet Week coming up and there's normally a free fly, and I know people want to get started as quick as possible. So this will be a bit of a bumbling one because I will make it up as I go. But let's start with getting in and getting started with the ship. Right, so I've got a starter ship here. This is the Drake Cutter. It's a hauler ship, but it does have some guns and a small amount of rockets, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've flown this one. And I've got a lovely yellow livery on here. So, basics, walking around, W, S, A, and D, of course. Control to go down, to crouch. Space to jump. And if you're in crouch, you can press space to go up again. I believe X is prone, there we go. And then it's space to come back up through the 3 stages. All fairly standard if you played any other FPS game. Mouse to look around. The scroll does nothing at the moment, so I'm not holding anything. If I bring up a weapon of some form, this is the multi-tool, but currently I have the grav module in it. Don't think there's anything around here I can grab. No. Oh, there's some indicator or something there. No. But if you press right mouse button, usual stuff. And on this particular one, which is a bit advanced for you to know at the moment, see on the right, it has detached mode here. If I press B, it will go into traversal. When in 0G, traversal is used to grab older things and then pull yourself towards them rather than bring them towards you. And the other one that you may have just seen is holding F brings up your mouse cursor. This is for accessing buttons and changing things, like if I want to put it away or anything like that, or carry it lowered. But there are keys for some of these things. And holding R puts it away. You can sometimes see some of the things over here on the right, the indicators. So rotate target is if I'm using the tool, which I'm not at the moment. Holding F down and then right click brings up the interaction menu. Some of these things may change with the new patch, but we'll see if it's all the same. And you got things like this, which is an emote. Oh, yeah, there we go. So I know we're whirlwinding through this, but this is the basic stuff. We won't go through the rest of this because they don't need to know that at this point. Right, to get in ships, you normally have to find a button. If you're lucky, they're highlighted like this. Hold F to bring up your cursor. Navigate with your mouse, and then just left click to press the button. You walk in, make sure you always close your door, it's good practice. There you go, that was holding F, using the mouse again. Most doors internally will automatically open for the ship owner. And then to access the pilot seat, hold F to get a highlight. If this is not happening, back up a little bit and then click on the actual words themselves. In the new update, I believe it'll auto highlight with give you the indicator that you just press F and it'll do it for you without having to hold the F. But we'll see how the update works. Okay, you're in your ship, and you move your mouse and you're like, hold on, why is nothing happening? All the keys, you can probably hear me clicking them, nothing's happening. And that's because, you see on the right here, we have to power it on. So hold U to power up the ship. And again, at this point, the engines won't work, nothing will work, because as you can see here, my engines are off on the side. You've got hydrogen engines and quantum engines. These are fuel levels, rather. Hydrogen is your generic traveling, moving around, using your stabilizing thrusters, everything. Quantum is essentially this game's version of warp. You need that to be able to make jumps. And you'll see before I launch on the mouse, when I move it around, this is a mouse and keyboard tutorial. I probably should have said that. You'll see that I get this little line from the center. So the center is what I'm looking at. Obviously, it's the center reticule. And then the other one is my mouse pointer. And the length and direction of that line indicates the vertex that I'm trying to go in. So if I move to the right, I'm trying to turn to the right. And the length of that line indicates how much power I'm putting into turning to the right, so I'll move faster the longer it is. Really, you want to do small movements generally, and just big movements when you're trying to really sort of nosedive or lift up. This is the one thing that catches people out the most, so be wary of this. And if you put it in a position and then go into, say, a menu, it's still in that position. So if I was flying now, I'd be spinning. So you need to be careful that when you go into a menu, you make sure that your icon is in the middle first. And I'll go over that again when we're flying as a demonstration. Okay, so external view, F4. F4 to go in external view, and then if I move the mouse or anything now, which I'm doing, nothing happens. And that's because I'm actually controlling the ship as though I'm in first person view. So if you look, if I put the cursor over there, go to F4, move the cursor to the left, press F4, it's suddenly over to the left. So you need to be careful that you're not moving the mouse when you're in the external view, because your ship will start moving and you're not facing forward. Unless your intent is to fly it externally. You don't get any of the HUD. If you want to change the view, you hold Z. So holding Z gives you the free look. This is the same whether you're in third person as a person on the ground in FPS mode, or third person in a ship. So Z gives you the free look, and wherever you put the camera, you let go back to first person with F4, just recenter that, and then press F4 again, the camera's in the same spot, so the camera remembers. When landing and taking off, it's good to have a lower view. Okay, so to turn on the engines, as you can see in the right, it says thrusters is I. So let's press I to toggle the engines on, and now you see these are now green rather than red. That means my engines are working. And if we go into third person, you can see that the engines are turned on. If I turn them off again, there you go. A little advanced move. On this ship, I have VTOL engines. So if I press K, they will VTOL, and that will allow me to lift off quicker and have more control. In future patches, that will be required for hovering, but it's not there at the moment. Okay, I'm going to go over two things on the HUD before we take off, and then we'll take off. On the right, this indicator here, this is what you're on the left, where you've got the zero, on the left, where the zero indicator, that's your current velocity. That tells you like how much thrust is currently going through the engines. Obviously minus is below zero, so going backwards, and but it's not the same as in Elite. For those of you who've played Elite, putting in minus doesn't actually make you go in reverse. In fact, I believe you only go down to zero at the moment. And then this over here, where this box is, indicates your maximum velocity. So at the moment, if I use the scroll wheel, you'll see that go up and down. My current velocity is 0. That's what this indicator represents. I have 0 velocity, so I put that down there. Even if I press, like I'm pressing the spacebar now to try and lift off, and you see there's just enough to lift me off to the suspension, but not enough to actually take off. I'll get nothing out of it. Where if I increase this, and then I press spacebar to lift off, I launch. We'll go back down to demonstrate. Okay, to launch, you can do this from third or first person. I'll do it in third to demonstrate. It is spacebar, because spacebar is your vertical lift. And it doesn't matter whether you've got VTOL up or not. In fact, I'll do it without VTOL just to demonstrate it. Spacebar is up. Control is down. And this is the same whether you're taking off, whether you're flying or whatever. So control and spacebar are your verticals in the same way that they are jump and they are crouch in first person. When you're a human, not a ship. So if I just take off quickly, there we go, it tells me I've launched. And then third person, I'll demonstrate the next part actually first. Here, you'll have an indicator. This is that implies whether my gear is up or down. If I put my gear away, you see how it flashes because it's happening, and then it's faded. It's a very slight on this ship. It's very slightly dark. In some other ships, it's a bit more prevalent. But if I put the gear down again, there we go. So to put the gear up and down, it is N. Landing gear does have an effect on your velocity. Landing gear down means it's you're slower. You roll slower. It has an effect on aerodynamics. It's all calculated real time. And just for realism, I'll put the VTOLs down. The next thing you need to do, I'm going to hold Z to look around, is you need to be able to launch. So looking up, those are the doors there. So there is a longer way to do it, but I'll use the shortcut to demonstrate, since it's a quick start. Holding left Alt and then pressing N will request, there we go, landing and takeoff. So when you come to land, you also press the same Alt N keybind, and this allows essentially what you're doing is the shortcut key for asking for permission to land or take off with the local station. And I'm going to press spacebar to go up. Because I'm in VTOL, I'll do it nice and fast. Let's change out of VTOL. I'll still go up, but it's more based on the altitude jets. And I'm holding Z at the moment, so we can get a good look around. So we've now taken off from a space station. This is Seraphim, and it sits above Orison, which is one of the major planets. And I do love this ship, even though it's a pudgy little fella. It's good fun. So these are the docking ports. These docking ports where you fly inwards. These are actually nicer. The vertical ones are much harder to land. And as you can see here, I'm going sideways. So same as with when you're a person. W is forward, S is back, A is left, strafe, and D is right, strafe. Ooh, you have to counter the effects of the previous motion. And we're working in what's called coupled mode at the moment. I won't go into uncoupled for now. The mouse, as you can see before, if I do a little bit, I move slowly. If I do a lot, I move a lot. But also, if I put the mouse like this, so I'm now constantly rotating, and then I go to third person, I'm still rotating. If I go into my menu, I'm still going to be rotating. Oh, I didn't reset it. There we go. And then go to my menu. Oh, looks like they fixed that actually. But you got to be careful. Essentially, always be mindful of where the cursor is when you changed your view. It's especially hard in third person because if you've got a camera like here and you're trying to get up and down, it can be confusing. And you can change your mouse to have inverted X or Y. I don't at the moment. When I get a HOTAS system or a HOTAS system, I definitely will. And then if you want to roll, it's Q and E. So to recap, if your engine is at 0, if you can see this just here, you can still use your altitudes, left, right, rolling, but you can't go forwards, you can't go backwards, you can't go left, and you can't go right. You get very slight, but it's minimum. Like it's not even worth noticing. But if I increase the engine even just slightly, I can now move forwards and back. So this indicator here that's essentially your throttle limiter. If I take that to the top, that means I've unlimited my throttle entirely. I push forward and I will use as much throttle as possible. And you'll see that indicator in the box there go up to 200 or 300, 400. Yeah, and different engines on different size ships based on weight. The cargo you have also affects your weight and therefore what you can move. So because I'm in space, so there's nothing resisting me, that's my maximum. I can go to 954-ish. Obviously slowing down from that is quite hard, and if I then rotate, I'm still going in that direction. You see the star, the debris, like the space dust flying past me is an indicator. So there you go, there's a good view of it. So even though I'm not pushing forward anymore, and this indicator's going down, I'm still going quite fast. If you've played space games before, this will not be a surprise. Okay, that's the space station we just came from. So I'm going to bring the throttle down, bring it down to 0, forces a stop. I don't know what the difference in the red and the green here is. I think this might be safe margins, or it's the amount in which the onboard computer can counteract it. So for instance, in coupled mode, if I press forward and then let go, it automatically counters my velocity with jets, little thrusters, to bring me to a stop. In what will be decoupled mode, which we can talk about in a future video, it doesn't do that. It just means I've stopped adding velocity forward, but I'm still going forward as per, the rules of space. Okay, so now we know going up and down with the mouse, and we're rotating, rolling with Q, so that's E and Q. Forward is W, back is S, A and D. Now, the sharp ones among you may have noticed that there's this little thing going left to right on my screen. It disappears when you move the mouse. Essentially, what it is that's your vector pip. That tells you where your current thrust is taking you. So if I do some side thrust and forward thrust, I'm actually going towards this, not this. And I'm continually moving slightly off. Do you see I'm like not going straight? It's hard to see there. But so controlling that point becomes part of the navigation game, right? And that's the same for up and down. Right, now what you would have seen a second ago was sudden thrust. I accidentally pressed shift, which gives you your thrust. If you press me forward, see it from the outside, that's normal, that's thrust. What it does do is it does burn booster, which will refill, but it refills from your hydrogen fuel. So all of this movement's using hydrogen fuel, but your booster has a richer mix and therefore uses more of it. Cool. In space, you can do anything you want. You can put your landing gear down if you want. It will affect your velocity. You can land wherever you want in this game. Do whatever. I could land on the outside of that space station, although the guns at the space station might warn me and then take me on. I have bound a hotkey for myself for opening the door. You will have to bind that if you want to do it from the cockpit. But one of the wonderful things about some of the ships, and it will be all of them eventually, is that if you press F to bring up your cursor, some of these buttons actually work. So the intent is that all of them will eventually. So if I do canopy armor, you'll see this armor here. If I retract it, this ship has this. I don't know any other ship with it. But then landing gear, if I do that and then go to third person, you'll see it brings the landing gear. So some of the buttons are fine. None of this is needed for the starter, but it's just so that you're aware. Okay, so we've covered general maneuverability and flying. Bit of jets, bit of roll, bit of forward, bit of back, bit of velocity change, and just keeping an eye down. Okay, so what can you do now? So with what you've been told, you can fly around the space station, and you could very slowly fly into the atmosphere, but that's the slow way, and you're not going to get yourself to another space station or planet from here. That's where the quantum drive comes in. If you press B, sorry, not Q, because obviously Q is the roll. If you press B, you'll bring up your quantum navigation markers, and in the middle you'll see them spooling the drive. So this is essentially heating up the quantum drive ready to jump, and then calibration is working out the calculation in order to do the jump. Calibration will happen when you pick a location like this by hovering over it. It will then calibrate, and once you have both spooling and calibration, you can jump there. Now, there is a caveat here. Doing it this way does not calculate your fuel for you. So if you don't have enough fuel to get there, you will stop halfway. You need to make sure you've got fuel. So this is where we're going to use the map. So actually, before I do, closer ones, like these ones that are on planet, now they're telling the red ones mean they're on the other side of the planet, so I can't get to them. And these ones here are actually part of the solar system because they're all in a singular celestial ring, because to do with the celestial 0 point. But the ones on the planet, which are these ones that are not part of that ring, so there's a Gamma ray, it's actually not on the planet, it's nearby. OM points are orbital markers, so there's like 6 of them, I think, around each planet, and they allow you to jump to places like this one will be an orbital marker. jump to places around the planet so that you can then see the space on the other side and you'll be able to fly down to. We'll use OM1 as an example then before we bring up the map and do a longer jump. Sorry, as I said, it's a bit rambly, but I hope you're sticking with me. Now that I've hovered, so if I pull off, I'll lose the calibration, but the spool is still up. If I look at it, it'll recalibrate for OM1. And when calibration is done, you can now hold down B to do the jump. You can let go of B once the jump starts. There we go. We've now travelled several hundred kilometres. In fact, that square one there is the space station we were at a minute. And now we're actually on the light side of the planet. There's a beautiful planet, Horus, and it's a gas giant, so there is no land, it's all gas. Which actually explains why there are no landing points along the planet. I've never taken the ship down into the gas. I wonder if there is something. But let's say we want to go to one of the moons. We'll go to Yela. 80,000. Now we could just jump there. However, if we press F1 to bring up our mobiGlas, and then we navigate down here, and we have the skyline. Skyline is the map. The map is about to be reworked, so it may not look exactly like this, but you'll get the idea. Double click where we are currently. See this flashing triangle is us. Double click there. Mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Seraphim Station was where we were. Seraphim. I always get the pronunciation wrong. And say we want to go to. Oh, let me right mouse button to move around like this. Let's click Yela and set route. Now this will calculate the fuel required, my quantum fuel, to get there, and how much I have. So I have quite a bit of fuel in this ship because it is a transport ship. It's only going to take us 0.75 to get there. Now if we were to clear that route, and we were to choose Hurston and set a route, it's going to use 187. Now on smaller ships, they have very little fuel. Fighters can only do little jumps, they don't have large quantum drives. And quantum can take a while if you go in there. So let's go back to Yela, set the route, we'll do a little jump. And we press F1 again to come out. And then we press, so if you don't have the drive up, and you'll press B, you'll notice, oh, my icons are gone. Why have all my icons gone? My jump points aren't showing up. That's because it only shows up the one where you've set a waypoint to. And that way, it's easier for you to find what direction you need to be facing. And it will automatically highlight the next step in your route if you're doing a multi-jump travel. And therefore, for now, it's spooled up, we've calibrated, and I'm going to hold B. And the interesting thing is, while it's doing that, I can actually get out of the ship, out of the seat, and wander around the ship. I don't have to be in the seat for the jump, which is especially useful for some of the bigger jumps. And this does allow me to like rearm, change gear, whatever, as long as it's all on the ship, and then get back in the pilot seat whenever I want. We have arrived, so this ship has stopped. There we go, that's Yela. Yela is a moon with 0 to very little atmosphere and also low gravity, so it's actually a nice little place to be able to jump around. If I press B now though, you notice there's still no bring it back up. There are now waypoints. Now because we're at the end of the journey, we don't have a route planned. Now all the standard waypoints appear. If I turn around, you know, all of the Deimos another moon, but that's the planet we just came from just there. Because it's the primary planet, obviously it's larger, so it's there. Now Yela does have a asteroid field, a ring, so you could fly to one of these asteroid fields and mine. You can sometimes find pirates in them, you will get missions to hunt down mercenaries. I think Yela actually has a pirate station hidden within called Grim Hex, which is an alternate space station where you can go and sell illegal goods. Well, that is for another video. But same thing again, this time we're going to choose a location on the planet. So we go to the, what's that? Yeah. We'll go to Corsair, Cosso, I think it's called Cosso Basin. Again, spool is complete because we've had the quantum drive on for a little while. Calibrate is done, hold B. And if it's dotted line, it means it's on the other side of the planet. So when we're in orbit with the planet though, it will then map a route around and automatically take you into like a slingshot around the planet in order to be able to get above it, and then it'll bring you in 20 kilometers. If I use the external view and Z to look around, it'll bring you in 20 kilometers away from the final point. Now, unfortunately, we are on the dark side of the moon, so it is difficult. What I would do here, though, is you can press L to turn your lights on, but that'll only matter once I get close enough. What I will do, though, is just because there's a starter video, we've pretty much covered everything here. Again, all you would do is get close to the ground, put your landing gear down, and then put her on the floor. But what I'll do is I'll go back to Crusader. Actually, can I go straight to... No, I can't. She's behind. Seraphine is behind the planet, so I'll be... External view is always nice in these. You get nice little particle effects. It's different per ship because of the shape of the ships. Now, the sort of chevron-shaped one is the capital city, so Orison is on the other side of the planet. The main space station is always directly above. It's geosynchronous locked with the primary city. Now, Seraphine's there and it's obstructed, so I can't get to it. I could jump to an OM point, and then so that would give me enough altitude close enough to be able to see it. Or, there's a little trick. Because it's a planet-side location, the capital city, I can just jump to that, and it will take me around the planet, and then just turn it around and jump and fly out towards the space station. As you can see, the clouds are volumetric and 3D. The engine can get quite loud. And holding Z to look around. Took longer than I expected, actually. Very loud as well. The engines are quite beastly on this for such a small ship. It's going to drop us in the clouds. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out, so I want to go to the space station. That's the space station there. The square one is always the primary space station, and I can jump straight to it. So, thankfully I'm on the outskirts of the atmosphere. If I was deeper in the atmosphere blocks quantum, and you need to get out. But because I'm high enough, I'm at 92,000 meters, and depending on the thickness of the atmosphere, that is different per ship. Sorry, not ship, per planet. So a quick jump. You'll see the blurring because there was actual droplets of atmosphere on my HUD, but then they evaporated when we went to space. Or rather, they were blown off. Right, can't use quantum drive this close, so I'm just gonna... Oh, nice little touch, by the way. That is the moon we went to earlier, or one of the moons. That might be Daymar, actually. So, you'll notice with space stations, they have this ring of lights around it. That is the station perimeter. Up on my right, you'll see there's a satellite image and there's nothing else. There will be one with a bullet with a line through it in a second. So at the moment, I can fire. Pressing the left stick is fire. Sorry, left mouse button is fire. Right mouse button is to change weapons if you have them. Sorry, it's to use a secondary weapon. Middle mouse button is to choose rockets. And then fire a rocket. Now you only have a limited number of rockets because they're physical devices, and if you're firing bullet-based weapons, you have a limited amount of ammo. Whereas laser ammo has, so I'm going to shoot that down. There we go. Laser ammo has infinite because it recharges. But as you imagine, physical ammo does slightly more damage. When you're inside the ring, you'll be inside what's known as an armistice zone. It should tell me. There we go. It tells me I'm inside an armistice zone, and up here you get an indicator that says guns won't work. So if I press, oh, hello. It's not supposed to fire. Okay, if I'm in armistice zone and I start firing and I hit anything, I will get in trouble. Normally the guns won't work. That's interesting. So, space station's actually this way around, if I'm right. You'll see at the top it says, please contact ATC to land. Again, this is what we did when we're taking off. Alt and N will request permission to land, and you'll be given an indicator as to where you are to land. Now, the indicator doesn't tell you where the direction of the landing bay is. That's something you have to get used to. It's something I'd like them to improve. Now, I know, based on the layout of the station, that it's a drop-down one. And if you look at these ones here, these are fly-in ones, and you can see that the tongue sticking out, the landing strip, is the bottom. That tells me that I'm the right way up. So if I go up, pressing spacebar, I can see where my landing spot is. If I hold F to bring up the cursor and scroll, I can zoom, and this allows me to look. So I can't control anything when I'm in that mode, unfortunately, so you have to sort of put some momentum in and then do it. So there's an opening there. See how that one's closed, but this one's open, and that's my indicator. The indicator is always where the actual floor is. Now you have to control the landing. You have to work out how to get in. If I go external view is always useful for this, to give you an idea of how close you are. There we go, right. I'm going to bring it in. Bring myself down. Obviously, size, you can see my light now working. Pressing L to turn it on and off. Ignore the indicator with the box in the middle. That's for something else. Okay, press Control to hover down to descend. Oh, because my mouse cursor's not straight, I'm starting to drift. There we go. I can press Control. Now my landing gear's not down, so if I press N, and the gear drops.
Landing gear down.
All you gotta do is put it on the ground.
Landing complete.
And you can hear it say landing complete. So now I'm done. Right. What do you do here? Recommended, press I, turn your engines off, and stop somebody stealing your ship. How do you get out of the seat? You say, well, if you hold F and you look around, there's often an exit indicator. But I never use that because it's a bit unreliable. Holding Y will let you out of the seat. This is the same for gunnery seats, this is for pilot seats, co-pilot seats. Holding Y is your friend. And then you can either use the control panel to open the doors, or you can just walk at them if you own the ship. Boom, 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 boom. Get out. Okay, and then we're out. Right, one more thing I think I'll do before we give this video an end, and that is the inventory system. If you press I, you'll bring up your inventory. Now I don't have a backpack at the moment. Let me just put something on so you can see the difference. Oh, I don't have any backpacks. Okay. Okay, so it's bringing up an inventory. So essentially your flight suit has no pockets. But by putting this vest on, as you can see I've got some pockets on the side, it's giving me a small inventory. And this tells me the capacity of it is 4,000 like micro SCU. So each one of these will be a volume or a size. That one's 1900, so it's too small to go there. Essentially it won't fit in a pocket, which makes sense. Ammo, there's always slots on your body for ammo. So this is where you reload from. In a new patch, you'll be able to reload from the backpack, but it's slower. And if I want, I can put a piece of ammo over here. And that's drag and drop. If I hold down select and click once, it pushes it across. This, I think I have to drag. In fact, let's try. No, I have to drag it. And what you'll find here is there are 3 types of inventory, which unfortunately I don't have here. There is local. Now that's the space station. As you can see here, it gives you the name. That'll be any location you are, whether it's a ground location, whether it's a space station, or it is a mining outpost. They all have local inventory at the moment. When they bring out the new cargo update beyond 3.23, that will change, but we'll worry about that then. Then you have your personal inventory, and then if I go in the ship will give an example of external inventory, well, vehicle inventory. So you've got personal, you see how there's vehicle here and vehicle here. The tab is the same, but once you select, you'll see this now says local. And the idea being is that I can then choose where I want I can then move stuff between here and the vehicle, and it's not in my local inventory. Press right mouse button to rotate your character. If you want to put something on your body, you have to drag it physically onto the body. So if your camera is in the wall, it's very hard for you to do. So, and new legs will give you new armor, will give you new access, new connection points. So I've got different helmet. Boom. There we go. Let's move these over here. So the thing to be careful is when you go here in the inventory, if you hover over something else, it sometimes tries to swap it with the previous location, which you don't want. You must have a helmet. If you go outside without a helmet, you will die. Something a friend of mine found out by accident. Guns. In the suit on its own, I have one slot for a rifle. You cannot pull your rifle in stations where there's an armistice zone, so it's very difficult. One thing you can do though is I can modify things like the scope and whatnot while it's on my back, and you can do that when it's in your hand as well in areas that don't have armistice zones. Okay, so armor breaks down to legs, chest, head, arms, and backpack. I don't have any backpacks at this station, so if I do legs, chest, arms, and I've got helmet, of course, and then you would have backpack. The backpack gives you extra personal storage, which is essential for any raid missions. So when you're looting bodies, you can put stuff in the backpack. But by having this gear, this gives me additional storage. So if I go to personal, I have leg compartment storage and body, so there's pockets essentially. Flares have a special slot that in the same place that grenades do, so that first flare is actually just hidden below it. If I take the body armor off, all the things I've attached to it comes off. So if I take all this mismatched body armor off, you will find body armor and guns everywhere, but you can go and buy stuff. And then you have one space on your hip for a tool or a potentially pistol, but I don't have any pistols here. The mortar tool is an essential piece of kit if you put a gravity module in, which I think that one does. Yeah, that one does. So you can change the module here. I only have the gravity module in my body, on my inventory, on my body, so my pockets there. I only have the ability to change one. That is J, by the way, to bring that up, but that's a more advanced thing. Holding R to put your gun away. Okay. And if you want to close your stuff, use the buttons. And I think that's it for now. Any questions, put it in the comments. I can talk about any more advanced keys. Some things are keybinds that you'll have to set up yourself, but 99% of it, everything you've seen today, it's set for opening and closing the doors while in the cockpit, are standard key sets, so I've not changed anything else. And that's it. So, quick roundup. WSAD. Oh, when you do have any gun out, pressing E rotates and Q rotates like you do in the ship. This allows you to look around corners when you're moving, and you have to press E again to undo it, so to speak. R puts your gun away. Control is crouch. X is prone. Space is to get up from those two locations and or jump. Run is the same as boost, so it's shift. Third person view is F4. A free look is hold Z and move the mouse. and mobiGlas is F1. There we go. Alright. Have a good time. Hopefully that's helped you out. And if not, just ask any questions. Thank you very much.